bit of energy advantage, it's going to go a long way. All it has to do is avoid that Tinkaton, and it's going to give huge rewards for Boya.
I think it's really good against the Shadow Lapras. Against the Shadow Jumpluff, I don't love it.
It depends, right? Can the Jumpluff land the acrobatics or not? Because slowly the side waves add up. Foul play is still neutral, and again, it's a Shadow Jumpluff, so it's going to take a lot more damage as well.
But I think you can actually, with the Fairy Winds, go Aerial Ace, straight Aerial Ace. Of course, you still go up to the acrobatics just to
maybe
one KO. But I think that the matchup is sometimes maybe a lot better. For regular Jumpluff, at least, it is. But let's see if the bulk changes things. Shadow Jumpluff on Borja's side as well. Malamar Diggersby makes a return. Clodsire as well. Lapras and Feraligatr. What do you think of Clodsire and Diggersby?
I think Diggersby has genuine play in the meta. Great matchup against Tinkaton. Great matchup against most of the Pokemon that you bring to cover Tinkaton. And then also not too bad matchup against the Flying Talonflame. If you get the Scorching Fan debuff, you're in a very good position. You do great against a Feraligatr in the one-shot scenario if you have a little bit of energy advantage. Not too bad against the Lapras as well, because the bulk of the Diggersby kind of makes up for the Sparkling Area and Psywave damage as well. So I think if there was any meta to bring it, Diggersby is a very, very good Pokemon to have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the ghost types that it was used against before, they have vanished. People have stopped bringing Azumarill that much because of Tinkaton. That also helps Diggersby quite a lot, because this was one of the checks. Let's just check if his team. You don't really want to play versus the Shadow Jumpluff. However, there is no Energy Ball on the Shadow Jumpluff.
There is no Energy Ball. You also don't really want to be in a situation with a shield deficit against something like a Feraligatr. But you have so much play as a Diggersby. If you run Diggersby Malamar, you can potentially run away with this game. All you have to do is keep the Malamar away from the Tinkaton.
Yeah, and maybe keep the Diggersby away from the Shadow Lapras, because that can also get nasty. I'm curious, I don't know the matchups of Shadow Lapras too well, but I'm curious to see how much damage Psywaves plus an Ice Beam do, because this could be potentially a farm down afterwards.
What I want to kind of see as well is the Lapras of Boya. Does it have Skull Bash, or is it running Ice Beam?
I think it was Ice Beam.
If it has Ice Beam, I think it has a lot less play against Kaifia's Lapras. But then again, Kaifia's Lapras safe swap can work, because the Malamar will have to double debuff itself to win that matchup.
Is Kaifia's Lapras a Skull Basher?
I think it is. I'm not sure. Kaifia likes Skull Bash, I think, from the times I've talked with him before the tournament, but I'm not sure if he went for the Skull Bash in a Shadow Lapras. But it makes sense to run Skull Bash on a Shadow Lapras, because that Skull Bash would hurt.
Especially if you expect a little less Shadow Jumpluff, right? Or regular Jumpluff as well, because of Tinkaton. So even though we have figured out that regular Jumpluff doesn't do too bad versus Tinkaton in zero shield scenario, and you don't really want to shield any of these Pokemon, because they're not very likely to get you shields back. Jumpluff perhaps, actually, but
I also really like Kaifia's team approach. It's like, I'm going to out-damage you, because he's running 4 Shadow Pokemon. And that's going to be a ton of damage to deal with. But he's going up against a brick wall, in essence, because Boya has 3 very bulky Pokemon in Diggersby, Clodsire, and Lapras. So it's like, you know, a tornado going into a mountain. Let's see which wins.
I mean, usually I think that the mountain should win this, but now I'm not sure anymore. Kaifia versus Borja is about to start soon, and I think that we're going to see very soon what the leads are. Quite curious to see if Borja can utilize this Malamar against Kaifia, or if he's going to run into a Pokemon that he doesn't want to face. And there's the Jumpluff versus Malamar. And now we're going to see if Borja stays in this matchup, because I don't think he has a really good check to the Jumpluff.
He's going to stay in here, probably wanting to do the foul play and dip here, foul play and dip strategy, but not before Kaifia gets to the acrobatics. But no, this was perfect timing by Boria. One turn into the Fairy Wind, throwing this foul play. Will do a considerable amount of damage onto the Jumpluff here.
Yep, definitely. This is 2 foul play will be enough here. And now Kaifia is actually going for the Aerial Ace here. He's going to get a shield from this already at another Aerial Ace, but you don't outpace to another acrobatics. Now another foul play will KO you, and that is a huge charge attack priority tie for Borja.
Yeah, huge charge attack tie indeed, but this means that Jumplov will be in a position to throw this acrobatics and knock out the Malamar. Let's see if Boria makes a shield call here, or does he let the Malamar go? Because if he does, I think even if the Feraligatr comes in, it's going to be outpaced to the Aerial Ace.
Yep. Are we in the 4 rotation of Aerial Ace right here? Borja is now still considering, do I use the Shadow Feraligatr to try and farm down with a shield here? No, we're bringing in the Lapras. It can soak up this energy from the Jumplov a lot better than Feraligatr could. Kaifia is throwing immediately now, and now I'm curious to see if Borja goes out after this into the Shadow Feraligatr to get a little bit of a head start.
It's going to be interesting. Let's see if Kaifia comes with his own Lapras. These two Laprases are both running Skull Bash. And I think if you're Boria, you really want the Skull Bash to land, because the Feraligatr at the back is not going to appreciate these moves. And what a shield call by Kaifia. I think at this point you want to swap in, but no, he's staying in here. The longer he stays in, the worse it's going to get. Oh, tries to catch a move. But this is a Sparkling Aria. Ideally, as a Lapras, this is what you want to throw into Feraligatr.
Yeah, but even though there would be huge damage output, even the Sparkling Aria does a lot too, even though it's resisted. And now Kaifia is racing. The first Hydro Cannon is going to connect here, and that still does a lot of damage, even though it's resisted. But this is not a Shadow Feraligatr.
Yeah, it's not a Shadow Feraligatr, so it's not going to do a ton of work. The Lapras, does it outpace? I think it does outpace for the back-to-back Sparkling Aria. Shield comes in on the Feraligatr, but I think this is going to be crucial on deciding how the end game goes, because if Lapras is just one away from another Sparkling Aria that knocks out the Feraligatr.
I think Kaifia is in a sublime position here, because he hasn't even revealed the Shadow Drapion yet that is in the back there. So he's going to try and hide it here, see if he gets to a charge attack. Actually, if the Lapras won't get to 2 charge attacks.
No, he has to show the Drapion. Oh, he makes a catch for style points there. He does a peekaboo play, as we call it. Shows the Drapion and says, well, too bad.
Yep, now Borja has gotten the information that he wanted. Undercharges the Sparkling Aria. Another fairy win for the knockout. Shadow Drapion didn't do too much there, but it was there in the back, and that's what was enough.
I mean, it was the best supporting cast you could have.
That is true. It was just sitting there saying hi once, getting swapped out immediately.
He was smiling.
Yeah, true.
And the thing we saw here was the Lapras, Shadow Lapras running Skull Bash, and that making that call on the first Skull Bash coming in from Boria's Lapras went a long way into cementing this game. Boria did make an amazing prediction to try and catch that Skull Bash or Sparkling Aria onto his own Feraligatr, but unfortunately he gave so much energy to Kaifia's Lapras that it was too late.
Yep, the Lapras really outpaced the Feraligatr afterwards, and even though it was a regular Feraligatr, the Shadow bonus of the Lapras added up so much. And now I'm just thinking, now that we've revealed the Shadow Drapion, I was thinking, was this perhaps crucial information to Borja? But now that I'm looking at his team, Shadow Drapion just goes everywhere, right? You can play versus Diggersby, even though that is not a comfortable matchup. You can chip a lot, get a shield perhaps, and then swap out later with a lot of energy. You can play the 2-shield scenario versus Clodsire quite well. You're very much fine versus Malamar. You are very much fine versus the Shadow Jumplov, and against Lapras and Feraligatr, you're also kind of good to go. So I think this is the safest Pokemon that Kaifia has.
Yeah, but it depends on how these two players play it out. We see a Diggersby into a Drapion, not a great lead for Kaifia. This, of course, Drapion does have super effective damage against the Diggersby, and it also outpaces the Diggersby quite a bit, but then Diggersby is so bulky that it'll be able to withstand these damages. Save swapping into the Lapras, but immediately met with this Malamar.
Yep, Malamar in this matchup is really, really good, but it does not want to soak those charge attacks, even though we are no shielding a Shadow boosted Sparkling Aria here, but Borja just knows I can farm up to 2 charge attacks, throw 1, and then, ooh, the superpower on the charge attack priority. Very nice counting here. Very likely to get a shield. Or just to get the KO.
No, gets a shield immediately from Kaifia, because he will secure another shield from the Malamar, because if he needs to secure this game, this switch, he will have to shield. And that's exactly what happens. Sparkling Aria number 2 comes in, protect shielded, Malamar going for that superpower.
Yep, and the superpower is now going to take out that Lapras. Wants to preserve some HP on that Malamar. Could have farmed up a lot more energy. I think even though your defense is dropped, I think it was worth to go for some more side waves, but now we have the Jumpluff swap into Shadow Drapion versus the Lapras. A crunch is going to be used immediately.
Yeah, crunch coming in. This is a great position to be in as Kaifia because the side waves don't do a ton of damage against your Drapion, and Drapion gets to another crunch before the Lapras is able to throw any energy. A great position to be in. This crunch will not knock out the Lapras, will put it deep into the red, and just a few poison stings away, but so much energy on the Lapras here.
There's a Skull Bash coming your way, Kaifia. The defense was just dropped. Let's get it back up on the Lapras. The Skull is being bashed here. And there's a big poison sting down here.
Yeah, big poison sting down. Whatever Pokemon comes in will be met with a charge attack from the Drapion, and it's going to be the Aqua Tail against the Diggersby. Diggersby wanted to make a sneaky Scorching Sand knockout, but unfortunately does not get it.
Yep, the chip damage is now there. And now let's see. There's a lot of energy on this Diggersby. Kaifia can't shield this. No protect shield more remaining. And now Kaifia, everything is on the Jumpluff. What can the Jumpluff do? It's already at an acrobatics. There is one shield left remaining. And oh, that is a huge catch!
Huge catch indeed, but Kaifia can undercharge. He completely undercharges. The Malamar will not be knocked out, and this means he will still be able to get to a huge farm down. But will it be before the foul play? No, the foul play is just reached, but this is still a great position to be in because I don't think this foul play puts a Jumpluff in a range where a Fire Punch knocks out.
No, I'm not too sure about this, actually. The Shadow bonus here is actually maybe coming in handy for Borja. This is going to be very close. Barely hangs on here. You were right about this. The first aerial ace is being thrown. It's going to be shielded. But now, can you get to that acrobatics?
This is going to be so close. One Fairy Wind, or I think the Jumpluff is already at an acrobatics. Acrobatics comes in. Will this be enough to knock out the Diggersby? Diggersby is such a bulky Pokemon, but acrobatics is such a great move.
Yep, but it does not knock out the Diggersby. It is so thick, farms down the Shadow Jumpluff, and Borja takes game 2.
I think that undercharge was slightly undercharged.
Yeah, too undercharged here. Undercharged. But now it's tight here. You were right. Diggersby is looking very strong for Borja. The Malamar, again, pivotal point of the game plan for Borja as well. Very strong performance here. Those games are very interesting. So many side waves.
So many side waves. I mean, I think it was so close, right? If the Jumpluff had managed to Fairy Wind down the Malamar towards the end game, the game would have been over because you get to Air Lace, Acrobatics, Air Lace.
Yeah.
That was so close. Great. And the catch was just perfectly planned. Kaifia had the opportunity to wait a turn, but I think he forgot that the switch timer was up, and that catch came completely neutralized all the advantage he had. It looked like Kaifia was going away, running away with the win, but just at the right moment, Borja said, no, my Diggersby says stop.
Kaifia looks a little bit frustrated about that one, giving away that game perhaps unnecessarily. Now Borja has the chance to get game 3 to advance to the next shot. Now Kaifia, he needs to lock in. He needs to channel his EUYC third place. The Championship Sunday competitor needs to now play this flawlessly to beat Borja, who is putting up a big show versus him, who wants to get to day 2.
Yeah, it's again, like I pointed out earlier, if you have so many checks against a Tinkerton, your opponent cannot play it.
Yeah.
And so that means you just play your Malamar whenever you want.
Yeah. That is true, and but then if you get it on the Tinkerton, and the Tinkerton is being brought, that's a whole different story. Oh, and now there is Shadow Drapion versus Klotza. If you want to play the 2-shield scenario as Kaifia, you might get away with a win here, because if there is a straight Earthquake, that is a lot of energy.
Yeah, and Borja knows that if he goes straight Earthquake, he can potentially lose a 2-shield scenario. Going for that Stone Edge bait here, let's see if Kaifia can call it.
Usually that's a very fast shield here, because it's just too risky if you have so much energy left. So it's a very safe bait here for Borja. But let's see how Kaifia plays this, because this is one of these Pokemon where you can easily swap. Oh, there's a catch on the Lapras, which is absolutely huge. Kaifia, by the way, if you're looking at the backline, is going super weak against Clodsire. Shadow Jumpluff has issues, and because it has Stone Edge, the Lapras also doesn't love to be in that matchup. So I think what we might be doing here is, we're farming up a lot of energy. There is no Ice Beam here. We swap it to the Shadow Jumpluff.
Yeah, this is a great... I mean, I think the match kind of is pushing towards the side of Kaifia with this shield. with this swap because he can easily tank this Skull Bash and get to these acrobatics, and this overtime will put that Lapras in a range where it can give the Jumble some more energy, or the Drapion some more energy, or even the Lapras of Kaifia some more energy.
If he gets energy on one of these Pokemon, excessive amounts of energy, that is really good. There was a good catch by the Clodsire, but now the Shadow Drapion is loaded with energy. It has 2 Aqua Tails start minimum, just saying that right now. Oh, the Sparkling Area doesn't even knock out. We can throw an Aerial Ace here. Are we going to see an undercharge?
No, I don't think so. You want to get this Lapras out of the way so the Drapion can do a ton of work here. Clodsire coming in and immediately met with Kaifia's Drapion. Kaifia's Drapion does have 2 Aqua Tails. 2 Aqua Tails will be enough to knock out the Clodsire. First one coming in, no shield by Boria.
It's huge that he combo played this immediately because he can now throw on charge attack priority. Has the exact count, very impressive here. Throws the Aqua Tail, gets the shield of Borja. Now the question is, will he give a shield back or will he keep it for his own Lapras?
I think at this point it's huge if you can shield it, if you no-shield this, completely farm it down with the Lapras, but he goes for the shield on the Earthquake, potentially getting this Feraligatr on here, but the Drapion outpaces the Feraligatr to the first crunch, and this puts Boria in a very tricky situation, because if he shields this, the Lapras is going to have a field day.
Oh, he does not shield this. This is so much damage. No defense drop, though. Now, the Feraligatr is farming up a lot of energy, but you are so much in farm down range for Psywaves here. I don't know if Borja has the HP in this game to run away here.
Yep, Psywave will be what we'll be seeing here. Of course, the Feraligatr is going to get Hydro Cannon after Hydro Cannon, but will this be enough to put the Lapras in a range where the Clodsire can take it out? Because the Clodsire has no energy whatsoever. Feraligatr trying its best to get to the Hydro Cannon, not enough. Can this Clodsire make it all the way to another move? Going for the Sparkling Area and immediate shield by the Clodsire.
Yep, he has to shield this, otherwise he loses the game. But there's also going to be a lot of damage from those Psywaves. Now it is a race. Clodsire is super bulky. Actually tries to go for a catch here. Doesn't get it. There's a full farm down on the side of Borja. And Kaifia might have thrown this game away. He doesn't have the charge move yet. Stone Edge is going to connect. And this is surely going to take out the Lapras.
Stone Edge comes in and this will seal the deal for Boria. Super effective damage onto the Lapras. And off Kaifia goes to the loser's bracket. And Boria goes over to day 2.
Wow, I surely thought he was just going to try and farm this down with the Psywaves. Actually threw the charge attack, which surprised me as well, because I thought one more Psywave might do a difference, and then throwing actually before the Stone Edge was reached.
I think it was going to be charge attack tie if he stayed in, and that would have given him an onus to try and catch as well, because I think you were 3 Psywaves away, and the Clodsire was 2. Wow. Yeah, it was really close, but unfortunately I think Kaifia kind of maybe lost count, but Boria, what he played for his win con toward all the way from the start towards the end of the game. Great gameplay there.
So good by Borja. They're also keeping calm in this situation. This is where the game comes to an end. You are nervous, everyone is cheering, the crowd is going wild, everyone in chat is going wild, and he stayed calm, saw the switch in, immediately realized, okay, this is a Shadow Jumpluff, this is not doing any damage to me, I can farm this down, I can leave with the Stone Edge. Baboom! Gets the Stone Edge on the Shadow Lapras, taking it out. Big W for Borja, deserved win.
It was a really close game. I think it all started with the fact that the Drapion pulled up a Protect Shield against the Clodsire. If it did not, all Kaifia had to do was completely Psywave down the Clodsire and Skull Bash the Feraligatr for the win. But then again, this is high stakes games. You are in the stage, a lot of people are watching you. There's a lot of pressure on you as well. So mistakes like these happen. Of course, in hindsight, it's easy to judge this. But game 1, it was all about who Skull Bashes better.
Yeah, backseating is always easier, right? That's why we love this. Why we love casting, because we can act like we knew all along. We've seen all the win conditions. But now you can see that Kaifia went for a crunch there. I think, if I remember correctly, did not get the defense debuff. They're good. We're not seeing that anymore, so you can't call me out on this one. But there was a big catch on this Malamar with a little too much of an undercharge here.
Yeah, I think Kaifia will reflect on this game and be like, there are so many things that I made a mistake, and then could have been done better, and this is exactly one of those things. At this point, you were almost right. I think that's 2 sideways worth of damage, and that would mean you would be in such a good position. There was no need to throw the sparkling area there, and potentially even fairy wind down the cloud side towards the end game.
Exactly. If you don't get the win by going for the 2 extra side waves, I think a fairy wind is gonna cut it, because that Clodsire was basically at no HP. That was a true 1 HP and a dream win of the Clodsire there.